Hi, my name is McKenna Milici, and I am a PhD student in historical musicology in the College of Music. And it's an honor as an OTA recipient to be able to talk with you today, welcome you to FSU or welcome you back to FSU, and share some pedagogical belief and advice that I have found useful in my time here. I've had different roles. I've been a reader grader. I have been an instructor of record for one-to-one voice lessons, and I've also taught music history and literature classes for both majors and non-majors, ranging from major classes as small as 30 to non-major classes as large as 140. And I think the idea of leading with compassion that I want to be my theme for today applies in any of those situations. One of the best pieces of advice I got early in my teaching came from one of my faculty advisors who said, "We're here to teach the students who want to learn, not to pacify the students who don't." And with that in mind, one of the things I like to do when I start a new class is I like to set expectations high and set them early. So particularly in the larger non-major classes, I often walk in on the first day and say, "Welcome, I'm so excited that you're here. If you've heard that this class is an easy A, I'm sorry you've been misinformed." Because I want students to know I really care that they learn something in my class. And for many of them, they think they're just getting a gen ed credit, but we're not here to check boxes. We're here to learn and challenge ourselves and grow. With that said, I want to use my time today to focus on the value of teaching that leads with compassion. And now I'd like to share some experiences with you that are a bit heavy in nature, and so I'm issuing a content warning for some serious topics. I've been an instructor of record at FSU for 4 years, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that much time. And yet, by my estimate, I've already had over 850 students. And some of them were going through some really difficult times. I've had students who were battling addiction while they were taking my class. I've had students who were homeless and living out of their car while they were taking my class. I've had students whose families, immediate families, were in the process of declaring bankruptcy, which meant that the students needed to travel home frequently to support their family members and they couldn't be on campus. I've had students who were sexually assaulted during the time in which they were enrolled in my course. I remember one semester, there was a student who would get up in the middle of class, like right in the middle of class almost every day, and leave for about 10 minutes. And of course I noticed it. It was a disruption to the learning environment. I found out later that that student's partner was in prison, and that was the only time during the day that they were allowed to call and talk to them on the phone. And of course, as is the nature of life and the progression of time, I have had students who have lost loved ones or family members during the course of a semester, who have had a grandparent or a parent or a sibling pass. My point in sharing all of this is not to scandalize anyone, but rather to reveal what I have learned from firsthand experience, that when your students walk into your classroom, whether physically or digitally, you don't know what they're going through. And in most cases, those examples I've just shared, I didn't know at the time, because I didn't learn what the student was experiencing until after the class had ended, after some time had passed, and the student had already gone through what they were going through and struggled with it and emerged victorious in some way on the other side, and then they were ready to share. So I want to share some concrete and constructive strategies and approaches that can be useful to anyone in accommodating situations like this. My first strategy is know your resources. Whether you are a breakout section TA, a reader grader, an instructor of record, anyone with a position of authority in the eyes of the university, you should know the services that the university offers to our students. Have these memorized. Know the different services they offer, and so if a student does come to you, share with you, and tell you that they need help or extra support, you know exactly where you can refer them to and the best people who are going to be able to get them the help they need. Another strategy that I have used has to do with deadlines. I accept late work in all of my courses, and I recognize that this is not a universally endorsed policy. I have had faculty advisors who encourage all of their GAs, do not ever accept late work, but I also recognize that life gets in the way, And my class is not always going to be a student's number one priority, which I see as no sign of disrespect. We all have our choices to make. And so for my courses, these are some examples of late work policies that I've used pulled directly from past syllabi, because at the end of the day, I would much rather have the work. I would rather that the student go through the process of doing the assignment and learning from it, rather than saying, hey, you didn't turn it in on time, so it gets 0 credit. But when students do reach out to me and share what's going on in their lives, and we have a dialogue, these policies become flexible as well. So to wrap things up, hold your students to a high standard, but recognize that some of them may be going through some of the most difficult period of their life in the midst of a global pandemic. And so these are just some very fast thoughts about the value of teaching that leads with compassion. And you may never know just how grateful your students are for it.